Let it all go, let it all go. No submission, this is 250. Greatness or death, this is how we roll. Before I'm laid to rest, I'll conquer the globe.
Yo, Michael T. Porter here, 250 Gemstones Exchange. This is where I give you guys great content, and in exchange, you guys, if you like, comment, or subscribe, hopefully all three of the above, and don't be afraid to share my videos. Pass me around, Facebook, Instagram, and all other social media platforms, and y'all know how I feel about my chain. If you'd like to support the channel, Cash App, $Michael US. Also, to get exclusive content that nobody else in the world has, check out my Spotify podcast. Link is in the description. Y'all stay and watch the whole video. We need to talk. I thought the U.S. Justice system was only to lock up black folk and minority, but it looked like they locking up everybody. This white man was wrongfully convicted of deleting his 4-year-old stepdaughter. But before I play this video, I just want to let y'all know the importance of being very careful of getting involved with somebody that has children, because at the end of the day, whatever happens, you're reliable, even though you're not the biological parent, male or female. You know, you got to be very careful who you get involved with. Very, very careful. But let's go play this video, and I'm going to be right back with you.
My name's Barry Jones, B-A-R-R-Y.
You never expected to be. July
Even the music sounds creepy.
1995. This was Barry Jones's introduction to his new home.
One old boy came up there and gave me a pouch of tobacco. You know, he says, hey, welcome to death row, for what that's worth. I was walking around in the fog. I couldn't believe it. You know, I'm going to death row for something I didn't do.
Wow.
That doesn't happen.
Death row for something he didn't do. 29 years for the deletion of a Tucson girl. See, I thought the course was only on black people ass. I thought the course was only on melanated people. I guess the course locking up everybody. Everybody got to go. Black, white, don't give a goddamn. Mexican, Asian, get your punk ass back there. Sick.
Barry Jones was a simple man, a mechanic and iron worker, married with 3 kids. But everything changed for the worse when he became addicted to drugs in his 30s.
We broke up, we separated, and things went downhill from there.
That's when he met Angela Gray, a girl he started seeing who had a 4-year-old daughter named Rachel. What happened that day, that night in 1994 when Rachel died? Or what happened inside the home?
Apparently, Rachel had been injured several times that I didn't even know about. But that day, I seen her.
This is why, you know, it's very cautious. Well, I don't know, can't speak for everybody, but I think it's wise, especially for a man, not to get involved with a woman that has a little girl, because that's the worst thing for you to have that on your jacket, to have that on your reputation. Not only if you, whether you go to jail or not, just a public persona that you hurt children, or, you know, you do unholy things with little girls, you take advantage of little girls, and especially if it's a lie. If it's a lie, now it's just out there. There's something about this being out there. There's that aura now. There's that mystique. A bad mystique about you. Everybody's like, oh, he did that. He's the one that was accused. Even though you're innocent, it's just the fact that people are seeing you in a different light. So I don't think it's wise to get with a girl that has kids, period. Boy or girl, little boy or little girl. But especially if she has a little girl. And because a lot of times they do lie, children do lie. And that's so crazy how a child can even formulate a lie so young. You know, it's so crazy how they can just even think about how do they, in other words, how do they even know what R word or the M word is at such an early age?
Her and a couple of neighbor kids playing my van, and I seen her come falling out of the van, and she landed on her head. Then later that night, somebody comes over and says, oh, she looks really sick.
They debated going to the hospital.
If she ain't better by the morning, we'll take her.
Barry, Angela, and Rachel all crawled into bed for the night.
But Rachel, she said, no, Mom. Says, I want to sleep in the middle. Says, I want to be by Barry, too. And I thought that was real touching. And then she says, we go to bed, and then she says, I love you, Barry. And I said, I love you, too. And that was the last thing she ever said to me.
The hell happened?
The next morning.
So all three of them, the mom, the girl, so it was Barry, the guy that's talking, his girlfriend, and the daughter, the mother's daughter, they're all in bed together, sleeping like a family. Okay, so how the hell did she get up out of here?
Rachel was dead.
Next thing I know, the police waking me up and taking me to the Pima County Sheriff's Department and interrogate me for 5 or 6 hours, and then they took me to jail, and 14 months later, I went to death row.
Angela Gray was convicted of child abuse and failure to get medical help and served just over 8 years in prison. But prosecutors claimed Barry beat Rachel, sexually assaulted her, and killed her.
How?
Did you hurt Rachel in any way?
No way at all. I find it inconceivable that anybody could do something like that to a 4-year-old child.
The jury didn't buy it, even though at the time, all evidence was circumstantial. There was no direct evidence Barry caused the injuries to Rachel's body, but Barry had a history that was easy to blame.
He's on drugs. He's got warrants out for his arrest. I was convicted of a crime not because I...
That's so scary how your life is in another human being's hand based off what the man you used to be. This world, that's why I say better get right with God, because God knows your heart. God knows that you messed up, and God is forgiving. And this is why it was so important when Christ came, because Christ gave mankind a new perspective, a whole new outlook about life. These people don't have control over your life. I do. These politicians, these crooked judges, these crooked jurors, these crooked police, crooked teachers, crooked police, this crooked world. If you give your life over to me, they will no longer have authority over you. That's why God said they can let them have your body, but they can never have your spirit. Your spirit means your spiritual bond to God for eternity. They can't take that away. They can't take the relationship between you and God away, because God is forgiving. God is kind. God overall goal is for you to repent and get yourself together. The overall goal of the world is to destroy you, manipulate you, and deceive you. They didn't even really do any research with this man. They just went off his record and just locked him up, because it's all about getting conviction. Because like I said, slavery still exists today. Slavery still exists today through the prison system. 13th Amendment.
Committed a crime, but I was convicted of a lifestyle.
So began his decades-long stay on death row. It would take a new legal team years later to relook at the case and think, something is wrong here. His new team said evidence from the autopsy showed Rachel's injuries were sustained at least a week before she died, and said the medical examiner changed his testimony in each trial, pointing to inconsistencies. All along, Barry maintained he never killed Rachel, but hope can feel dismal when you're living on death row.
Everybody told you when you first get there, it says, you know what, it says if you didn't beat them in court, chances are you're not going to beat them on appeal.
But it wasn't impossible. Things began to change in 2018 when a federal district court judge ruled Barry's convictions should be overturned. The Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit agreed. But the U.S. Supreme Court said federal courts didn't have the power to review the case and sent it to the state while keeping Barry in prison.
It's 100 times harder to get somebody out of prison than it is to win at court.
Eventually, the Arizona Attorney General's office and Pima County Attorney's office collaborated and agreed. Barry...
So they try to put him in a position to where he can't even defend himself. That's what the court system is all about. They put you in a position where you don't have any money, where you're starving, where you're mentally weak, the belly of the beast. But he still fought through it.
Did not kill Rachel Gray, but offered a plea deal for second-degree murder, solely based on the fact Barry should have sought medical care for Rachel when he noticed she was sick. Even Rachel's sister wrote a letter to the judge asking him to free Barry, sure of the fact he did not kill her sister.
She wrote that letter to the judge, and, every time I think about that, I get a little misty. But the fact is that I didn't seek medical care for Rachel. If I had been in my right mind and not high and stuff like that, then I surely would have.
June 15th, 2023, 29 years after he walked into prison, Barry Jones walked out of death row, saying goodbye to some of the most notorious killers in Arizona history, people he became close with because that's all he knew, like the Baseline Killer.
We was talking about serial killers. Mark Godot, one of my best friends. I mean, he gave me a great big hug before I left death row, you know.
Do you hold resentment for the U.S. justice system?
No, it's not resentment, it's disappointment. I got a little bit of justice because they released me.
He said it's not resentment, but they're still not saying, are they going to say what actually happened to the girl? Are they saying she was sustained these injuries prior? So there were injuries a week prior to her complaining. So did the mom beat her? Because that's what I'm saying, is be careful who you get involved with, because at the end of the day, her mom, they're all three of them in the bed. How in the hell he gets time for somebody else's kid?
But Rachel will never get justice because they don't know who killed her, and they ain't never going to know because they're not going to open up a 30-year cold case.
It's as if he's been born again, learning how to live in a world he doesn't.
I'm going to carry that around with me for the rest of my life. And that's what's going to make me a better
Years. That best matched the time he had already spent with community service, everything else he would have to do on the back end. But that's likely to take liability off the state because you heard.
Now, it's a little fuzzy to me what happened. Would you like to know my opinion? I think they said the 4-year-old girl was sick, and what sickness lets you allows a 4-year-old to pass away that quickly within a week? There's something fishy with this story. There's some details being left out. I think that mother did something to that child. They said like they were both doing drugs. They failed to get this little baby medical attention. That's what they're being charged for, neglect. Now, like I said, what disease or what illness will allow a little one to be deleted within a week? The medical examiner said she sustained. First, the medical examiner says somebody put their hands on the 4-year-old girl, and they put hands on her so bad that she needed medical attention. So maybe I'm thinking it's a cracked rib or something. There's something fishy about this story, and I think I'm gonna do a part 2 to this story because I'm trying to figure out. If there's more information about it, what happened? What really happened to the little girl? What y'all think happened to the little girl? Who hit the little girl? The girl was beat on, and she sustained injuries, and she was sick. So was this child sick before she got beat on? There's some details being left out. I don't know if this guy is sick. I don't know if this guy is, because he said his best friend is a serial killer, and I'm looking at, I don't give a goddamn how. I don't know, maybe 29 years, I don't know. I can't speak. I was about to say, I don't know, being friends with a serial killer, I don't know how that's beneficial, but he's been on death row for damn near 30 years. But I'm just trying to figure out, they never went to specific, how was the 4-year-old girl, how did she sustain those injuries a week prior to her crawling in bed and saying she wasn't feeling good? I don't know if he's lying. I don't know if the mother's lying. Let's just say he's telling the truth. What disease or how did she sustain those injuries, and what sickness will allow, like I said, a child to pass away that quickly? But y'all let me know what y'all think about this story and the U.S. justice system. He was wrongly convicted. It had proof that he didn't put his hands on the girl, so he did 29 years for nothing. Neglect is what they got him on. He should have only did 8 years, but they gave him 29. So, how do y'all feel about the U.S. justice system? 250, I'm gone.